Hello everyone, this is Serene Teffaha from Advocate Me. Thank you so much for all the interest that you have expressed in the class action. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to all of you, but we are organising a proper platform where I could reach out similar to this to everyone and discuss more intricately the issues of moving forward with a class action. I decided to do this for a number of reasons. I was firstly concerned with the use of power. Power is a lucrative thing and one that should be used very meticulously by our administrators and our bureaucracies. There are a number of levels of power in this country. There is the Commonwealth power. The Commonwealth can mandate and legislate for certain things. Then there are the interactions between Commonwealth and the state and territories. What has happened in the past few months has obviously been extremely new in this nation and across the world. And legislation and power has been used to affect many things, including now the mandating of vaccines and the forcing of vaccines on a collective group of people. Firstly, it's in the aged care facilities, visitors to the aged care facilities and staff working in aged care facilities, and unfortunately it has extended even beyond that. In certain states, such as Victoria, there has been the proposal obviously for mandatory vaccines for all healthcare workers as well. The issue for me in terms of creating a good direction into class action and understanding how to move best with this is to understand the interaction between these powers and who can and who can't make these powers, and what does the legislation actually talk about when it comes to mandating or forcing vaccines and or other medications on groups of people. There are a number of issues that stem from that. There's the aspect of freedom of choice, of course, and the medical freedoms. There are some interactions between that and the Constitution, obviously. But more so, there are also the interactions between Commonwealth and state and the separation of powers that must always be exercised to ensure that we do not move into radical laws that infringe on people's autonomy and self-determination. The current status quo is that Mr. Scott Morrison directed or recommended on the 21st of April that all states pass directions in relation to mass and compulsory vaccinations. The states have then taken this and run with it. Unfortunately, there are serious concerns with this action. Mr. Scott Morrison may be seen as going above his power. He is not the legislator. He is the executive arm of government, and he cannot legislate beyond what is actually allowed under the current Commonwealth legislation and otherwise. The Commonwealth legislation does raise certain restrictions, and the declaration that was made by the Governor-General on the 18th of March also raises similar restrictions. And it most certainly is that the state directives and the territories' directives would appear very much infringing on those and being inconsistent with those, and ultimately leading to their illegality and unlawfulness. And that is exactly what this class action is about. It's about drawing the limits on what can and can't happen by state administrators and directives that do not give them the right to mandate and compel vaccines or any other medication on others. Of course, this ties into, is this an anti-vax or is this a pro-vax or is this an anti-choice or pro-choice or whatever it is that people would like to label it. It actually goes back to something extremely basic, and that is that people have the right for self-determination people have the right to ask themselves what is best for their situation. And when it comes to medication, there should be very narrow and a very small window in which governments and other administrators could force medication or vaccines on people. So I look forward to this video being spread across the internet. I invite those who have been deeply affected, and I'm saying very deeply affected. There are some very concerning behaviours from aged care facilities and from employers in terms of the way that they have banned people. It's become extremely irrational. These actions are not scientifically based, and I intend on challenging that as well as per the course of these proceedings. Also, employers have taken a very black and white perspective on this, and unfortunately it's created a lot of suffering and pain. Medical exemptions have been narrowed down, such as doctors cannot honestly give their opinions on this. And unfortunately, there are very strong overriding interests here, interests that are coming from the pharmaceutical industry and other major lobby groups that are infiltrating and creating these impositions on people and these types of behaviours that have become, quite frankly, out of control. I'm very interested in pursuing this. This is an administrative law matter. This is a constitutional matter. This is a matter about power and the exercise of power. This is about understanding public good. This is about understanding that all medications, including vaccines, suffer from major problems in terms of adverse reactions, and specifically vaccines, issues around failures of double-blind placebo studies using inert placebos, not aluminium adjuvants and previously marketed vaccines. That's not appropriate studies, and this will be tested as well in court. No efficacy studies to support it, and no appropriate screening to see whether or not you will be affected by a particular vaccine or not. These are important issues for discussion. These are issues that should be very candidly discussed, and we are going to request the judiciary, the third arm of government, to actually give guidance on this very critical issue. We need to unite as Australians, and we need to understand that Australia is not a country that is about enforcement and mass implementation of policy without proper reflection and debate. And I would really love to bring this to the judiciary, because I have a high respect for the judiciary in this country, and I do believe that they will do the right thing here. I look forward to getting more of your expressed interest. I'm so sorry that you are suffering in this, but please be patient. Please join my efforts and contribute, and I will have more details as the days progress. And I look very much forward to hearing from you. There is a link that I have attached here for forms that need to be completed to express interest. And I look very much forward to to moving forward with this, and to putting this in the court, and to get some insights from our lovely judiciary.